Hey, welcome back, offenders. Offend fascism at every turn and offend the fascist enablers at every turn. And the fascist enablers are far and wide. They include more than just MAGA. They include Democrats as well, and liberals, corporatist Dems, and people who were former Republicans but don't want to be part of the Troublican Party. They are far and wide. And we'll point out some of them in a second. But yeah, Usha's new boobs. Usha is going to have to get with the plan, right? She's going to have to get with the team because this will not do. Usha, who is somewhat of a natural beauty, I would say. She has a natural beauty, a natural wholesome beauty. But that is to her detriment in regard to the MAGA cult and to the Trumpian cult. And so I ran across this article and it, popped out at me. Is she going to make the transformation? I don't know. Is she? It's a good question. If she does, she's going to have these right here. They're going to be much larger, 3 times as large at least. And they're going to be stiff and perky. And the face is going to become like this. The lips are going to be filled with Botox. The cheeks right here are going to be filled with Botox. The eyebrows, going to have to do something with some heavier mascara on the eyebrows. Yeah, she needs a complete makeover. Will that happen? I don't know. If she wants to remain in the cult, it's going to happen, I would think. I mean, look at Melania. Look at everybody around her. Megyn Kelly. Look at Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly, who is providing apologia for pedophilia and child rape. Look at Megyn Kelly. Can you believe this? I'll cover that in another video, but oh my God. I knew they would do this. I mean, and then the libs, the shit libs, whatever you want to call them, the people who claim they're fighting fascism when they're not, they're enabling it and supporting even further. They just have a field day over this. They feel superior to, they're going to point this out about how superior they are to Megyn Kelly. And what they don't realize is you don't argue with people like this, because you'll argue this and feel superior, and then they'll push the goalpost to where the likes of Megyn Kelly would support Donald Trump raping a 5-year-old or a 2-year-old or an infant. It would get that absurd. It's not even worth arguing with these people about it. It's absurdity. And you just platform them by arguing with them about it. You normalize it. You desensitize your audience to it. This is the problem I have with content creation, the ubiquity of it, and with entertainment and politics becoming entertainment and becoming content, so to speak, which is also entertainment, is that it diffuses rage. It diffuses action. It contains action. There will be no action. The revolution will not be televised, meaning everybody will be glued to their screens, attached to their screens, and so long as you're behind the screen, attached to it, whatever you want to call it, you're not going to be out on the streets taking true action. Not even on the streets, because I'm not even a big believer in protests any longer as action. Now, if we're talking about a Maidan, like they had in Ukraine, yeah, that's a different story. Surrounding the White House with 50 million people and demanding that you turn over Trump so we can turn him over to the International Criminal Court and send him to The Hague to be tried for war crimes, yeah, that's action. Mobs burning down Mar-a-Lago, which, by the way, means from The sea to the lake. Did you know that? Why would Trump choose such a name? Or even if it was named that prior to him taking it, why would he buy a property named Mar-a-Lago? The sea to the lake. That's in Revelation, by the way, folks. The beast, for all intents and purposes, that is Donald Trump, the beast will rise from the sea and be burned in the lake. You can't make this shit up. It writes itself. I mean, I don't believe in the Bible and the Revelation and all that BS, but I'll be damned. Wow. Is that taunting? Could he be that clever? Doesn't seem like it, right? But he is an enigma, after all. Anyway, yeah, Usha. Usha's new boobs, right? You gonna get some new boobs? Get a new face? A new drug? One that does what it should? Anyway, I ran across this too. So take a look at it. Duty to warn, J.D. Vance must never become president of the United States. A number of people have been saying this, even some shitlibs, that if Trump somehow dies, whatever, he passes by whatever means, Vance is president and Vance may be eminently worse than Donald Trump. That's true. I think Vance would be more competent in his malevolence than Donald Trump. Donald Trump's narcissism gets in the way of everything. With Donald Trump, it's all about Donald Trump. And I don't think that's the case with Vance. He's power hungry, and his malevolence will be many times more competent than Trump. And the people who have placed him in the vice presidency, convinced Trump to carry him as the vice president, are absolutely the most evil people on the face of the earth, and they have Vance there for a reason. So even though the passing of Trump would be the beginning of the end of the MAGA cult, I believe these people have planned for that. These evil people have planned for that, and they will no longer be in need of the MAGA cult because there will no longer be any elections. There will no longer be any quote-unquote democracy, feigned or otherwise. So yes, this is a good thought. What do you do with J.D. Vance? If you somehow depose Donald Trump, what do you do with J.D. Vance? This is why I laugh when I see Naomi Klein celebrating with Mehdi Hassan and Jennifer Welch and Hassan Piker at Zohran Mamdani's victory party in New York City. These people couldn't be more bourgeoisie. And Naomi Klein gets on there and she's like, this is how you fight fascism. This is how you do it. No, it is not, Naomi. Naomi, with her retirement intact and her making several $100,000 a year, and no doubt her husband makes that too, and they're sitting pretty, just as Jennifer Welch and her husband, these two weirdos, actually, in my opinion, publicity hounds every bit as much as Donald Trump is, living their bourgeoisie lifestyle, moving to New York. Do you know how expensive it is to live in New York? And the irony of that is that Zohran Mamdani is allegedly going to address that. And maybe one way he could address it right is to boot out all the Qataris who own half of Manhattan, right? The landlords. The Qataris are as much landlords in Manhattan as are Israelis and the Jews, right? So is he going to kick them all out and get new landlords? Because that's the only way you're really going to ultimately, in the long run, change rent in New York City, right? Anyway, yeah, the fight fascism. Give me a break. That's not how you fight fascism. You are not going to defeat fascism through electoral politics. You're not. You're not. At this point, I hate to say it, the only way that you can defeat fascism at this point in this country is two ways. It just fizzles out after decades. as it did, in very successful fascist states that lasted, half a century, like in Spain with Franco and in Portugal. I mean, it'll just fizzle out, or revolution, one or the other. And like I said, there is no chance whatsoever of revolution in America. So all you communists and Marxists out there and your propaganda, cut it out. All right? It's never going to fly here. It's like with Russia with Lenin. Lenin never, ever considered Russia to be the start of the communist revolution. He didn't. He was surprised when it happened. In February of 1917, with the first revolt, he was taken by surprise. And he was none too happy about it. He didn't want to see it happen and start in Russia, but Russia was always the wrong place for it. Why? Well, because Russia didn't have the appropriate ingredients for a revolution, in his opinion. In his opinion. Who knows what the appropriate ingredients are? Now, I would argue that revolution was imminent in Russia, regardless of Lenin's aspirations. It was always going to happen. One way or another, there was going to be a revolution because of the recalcitrance and the calcification of the ruling class, the czarist ruling class, and their treatment of the unwashed. It was always going to happen. So there was going to be a revolution of some sort, whether that turned into the result being communism or whether it turned into something similar to the French Revolution. It was up in the air at the time. If you read that, it was an incredibly dynamic, fluid, complex situation. It was not a sure shot that communism would be the result. Not by any means. But the propagandists, the communists and the Marxists will, in their historical revision will tell you, it was always destiny and it was the communists that led it from the very, very beginning. No, it wasn't. It was not. They certainly were agitating. But more than anything, it was the peasants that did it. And it wasn't for communism that they did it. It was the peasants wanted freedom from the gentry, and they wanted land. First and foremost, that's what it mostly was about. And it got usurped by the Bolsheviks. So anyway, revolution would be the only way other than just capitulating and allowing it to run its course. And that's not going to happen in America. There's just like in Russia, it was not an appropriate place for a communist revolution, at least, for communism to be the result of it. The material was not there for a true communist revolution in Russia. And that's probably ultimately why it failed. It's ultimately why it failed. It quickly evolved into a cult of personality, and it became a de facto czarist regime in and of itself, called Stalinism. And Stalin was the czar because the peasants, they liked the idea of a strongman czar. So, these folks. Usha, see, that's all going to change. Or is it? I don't know. Maybe not. People will say that she's going to divorce J.D. Vance and she's not happy. I disagree. Keith Edwards, one of the shit-lib popular content creators on YouTube here, like so many, he feels for Usha Vance, and he feels that, she's not bad, but J.D. Vance is, or Hamill is, or Bowman is. How many times do I have to point out she clerked for both Kavanaugh and John Roberts? Okay? So she is MAGA, all right? They are MAGA. She is MAGA. You don't feel sorry for people like this because she has a nice smile and nice pearly whites. You think she's okay? You think she's all right? J.D. Vance smiles and he has nice pearly whites. Is it because he's a man and she's a woman? Are you being sexist because you think she's better than him? She's as guilty as he is. Okay? And she's not going to divorce him. That just doesn't happen. It does not happen. She's not going to divorce him. If she tried to divorce him at this point, he got wind that was going to happen. He would, I'm not kidding. I think they would contract, he and Thiel and Elon Musk and the tech oligarchs would conspire to have her offed. I truly believe they would do that. She cannot make JD look bad at this point. They're too close. They almost have the trophy. They're too close. The kingdom is at hand, so there's no way they would allow that to happen. She would have to have a tragic accident if she ever threatened to do such a thing. So no, she's fully on board. There's going to be no breakup or divorce there. It's so close now. They're so close. What do they do with Trump? Anyway, here's this. This is how you fight fascism, folks, right? This is how you fight fascism. Here they are with Barack Obama, whose head does he have a huge head or what? And is this really Barack Obama, or is that like just one of those paper cutouts? I'm thinking it really is Barack Obama. But look at the size of his head. His head is like 25% of his body. I never realized that was like that. It's almost surreal, isn't it? Is he an alien? I think he might be an alien, actually. That is a huge freaking head compared to the rest of his body. Anyway, Barack Obama is one of those fascist enablers, okay? He's one of them. He is CIA. If people are stupid enough to think he's not CIA, I mean, look at the guy's career. He never worked a day in his life. He never worked a day in his life. He does not know labor. He's never labored. His parents were in intelligence. His grandparents were in intelligence. He was born into the intelligence community. He was always the CIA. And the CIA is part and parcel of why Donald Trump is president. They want it this way. They're bringing home to America what they've done around the globe for time immemorial, since Truman helped bring the CIA into existence. They've been doing this kind of crap around the globe, creating banana republics everywhere with fools, dictatorial fools at the head of the banana republics. And now they said, you know what? It's time for America to experience the same thing. Let's have some fun here now. And here we are. There's 6 psychopaths. He's on the Mark Maron show recently, within the past couple months, and they're talking to him about this, and he's laid way back in the chair, way back and way down, as though he doesn't have a care in the world, as though nothing is of expedience right now. Nothing. He's talking about how disconnected he is as of late, and you just need to have conversations with these people just like I did, and everything will be okay. It's like almost he had the attitude, everything's gonna be all right. He's like, he thinks he's Bob Marley. He's an imposter. He's a chameleon, a political chameleon, every bit as much as Zohran Mamdani is. But these people are fooled again and again. But I want to point out this. Look at these 2 chicks. Look at this. I mean, what's the difference between MAGA? They like to tear up on MAGA, rightfully so. I'm not going to provide any kind of cover apologia for MAGA, the grotesqueness of MAGA, but look at the work on these chicks. Seriously? Seriously, where are we? And they're amazingly popular right now. They've got millions of followers. They're making money hand over fist, so much so that she can move to New York in one of these expensive apartments and party like it's 1999 with Hassan Piker, who is also a multimillionaire, from being what? A Twitch streamer. No, he's not milking cows like the illegal immigrants are doing in Wisconsin, for example, the dairy state. He's not in the slaughterhouses, cutting up our beef and our chicken and our pork like the illegal immigrants are doing. Even though, he pretends and they pretend like they're advocating for the illegal immigrants. They're living this incredible bougie lifestyle. I don't live like this. Far from it. And I would never want to live like this because I know I'd be a big fake. like they are. This is not fighting fascism. It's exactly why fascism is succeeding and will succeed until it fizzles out or the world is no more, whichever comes first, and I'm going with the latter, not the former. This is why. They preclude any kind of revolt. They preclude. They and their ilk. And they are legion at this point. All the content creators and entertainers. Jon Stewart, Kimmel, Colbert. They diffuse the rage. And so long as everybody is attached to their phones 24/7 and their screens, nothing is ever going to change. You're just going to further and further and further tighten the noose around your neck. The fascist noose around your neck. So I know I packed a lot into this. Usha's new boobs, question mark. But hey, sometimes you get on a roll. Anyway, since no one's listening, I'm just speaking to the universe, but I don't care. You got to speak to the universe. You got to get it off your shoulders. I'm getting it off my shoulders. That's it for now, folks. Until the next video, take care, offenders. Bye.